I can't say it enough. When we say modern classic, nothing really puts much heart into this genre as much as Triumph. You know, it's really them. Of course, they have a lot of history behind them. That is where the legitimacy comes from. Whatever genre in this shade of retro, from the Bobber to the Bonneville and their Thruxton and Speed Twin, they have it down pat without much effort. Heritage is everything. And Triumph used this, because they have loads of it, to the hilt, introducing the Scrambler in 2006. Going into off-road in this platform was inevitable. They've been at it from before, way back Steve McQueen's time. When the Bonnie came up with the Street Twin, the Street Scrambler was a natural shape to form next. In comes 2017 with a Street Scrambler. And here we are now. This, folks, is Machina Moto Features. Welcome.
Under the moon, I saw you, so soon you'll take me. Up in your arms, too late to beg you. Cancel it though, I know it must be killing time, unwillingly mine. Fate up against your will, through the thick and thin. Oh, you wait until
The Street Scrambler has the same water-cooled parallel twin as the Street model, and an engine that has earned its rep as a solid and reliable machine. Getting into this, don't expect boisterous behavior. Rather, think cool, relaxed, and steady. Riding the Street Scrambler won't have you gunning for adrenaline of the speed variety, but rather a rush for being on a really cool and good-looking machine. The torque curve is pretty flat, and you can be in gear longer and go linear with confidence with hardly any stress or effort at all. The Street Scrambler is relatively a baby, so possible long-term issues have not come up. But you know, with how Triumph has been executing its bikes lately, I'd make an intelligent guess that I don't think there will be much issues with more mileage on bikes as we go along. At least nothing crazy like recall issues level. Maybe normal wear and tear here and there. While I would have wished for a double overhead cam, this single overhead cam is current, modern, and very straight to the point in terms of design. Brakes! Try the rear first. So I'm slamming on it really hard. I'm getting a bit of ABS working okay, working fine. Or the stopping power at the rear is something that I would expect coming from that size of a disc. Nice and safe. You're not going to get any action star fishtail over there. Now, since this is a Scrambler, maybe I think it would be good if, you know, they had an option to take out the rear ABS when you're going off-road, right? Front brakes this time. The front forks are dipping more than I would want to. That would be a nice thing to see, adjustable forks. There you go. ABS working fine. So it needs a lot of pressure for the ABS to really work. So again, make sure you got good tires as well. Around 40 kilometers per hour. Right at the humps. Yep, working fine. Great, good job. Yep, brakes are working fine. Go for both now. Good stopping. Good faster again. Yep, good braking. So yeah, if there's anything here that, you know, I would probably mod or upgrade, get some forks where I can adjust, make it a bit more stiff. So since the front wheels are dipping a bit, and yeah, it is the way it is. So again, this is a Scrambler, so off-road capable. Definitely you're gonna expect a bit more play at the front. But if you are going to use this more for the city, for the road, then adjustable forks to tune it more for the street would be awesome. Otherwise, you're going to just have to deal with the dipping at the front forks when you brake hard. One of the reasons they came up with a street scrambler is based on the fact that despite the off-road abilities a scrambler should inherently possess, very few people really go out in these in the rough. It's just not the first choice for most riders. So they made the street scrambler, and this is more for the urban adventurer. The gearbox clicks into place without any issues. We have 5 gears here, although I wish it were 6 since this is an urban enduro. But it's doing its job fine. This is one of the best-selling bikes for Triumph. We're talking about the Scrambler. They sold over 10,000 units since 2017. So what are the updates? What have they done with this compared to the older Scramblers? It's an emission update. So we are now at Euro 5, and to achieve that, what did they do? They had some updates with the catalytic converter. Of course, the air system. There's now a secondary air system in there. They also changed the modes and maps in this bike. Now, why did they do that? They adjusted everything because when you fiddle around with a cat, as we go up with the emissions, so right now we're at Euro 5, things get choked up. I've heard of other bikes wherein as we go along, like for example, the Euro 3 engine will not overheat, and then a few years later, that Euro 4, Euro 5, that engine is now heating up. So they had to fix out the airflow, the intake as they choke things up over there. Now the Scrambler, if we compare this with the older version or the older model, this is actually heavier by 2-3 kilos. Why is that? Because of the changes that they did with the cat, with that secondary air system over there, and the silencer. Yes, it's heavier, but you got some updates here and there, so I think it's a pretty good trade-off. In terms of quality, one of the favorite things that I love about this bike is the seat. You know, sometimes you gotta let your hands feel the bike, feel the seat, right? You can feel it. This is very, I don't know, very pleasurable to my hands. When I touch this, it just feels very, very good. It's like I want to rub it all day, you know? Now, in terms of comfort, what I have noticed in terms of where certain areas are more stiff and then it just softens up in certain areas, in the bum area, this area is where I can feel that the foam is a bit more soft, which is, you know, good. Here is where it kind of stiffens up just a bit. So over at your tailbone, this part really goes down. Really nice soft part. Even on the side, this is pretty good quality. It's not one of those cheap, shiny, plasticky seats that we see in other bikes. In terms of the rear, I would change this. This looks pretty regular. This too. I'd put something smaller, more sleek. This part is plastic. Now look at that sheen. I like how it softly disperses the light. Here are your shocks. You got 2 shocks here. In terms of the leg shield, and is it doing a good job? To some people, it depends on how tall you are. If you got long legs, there's a tendency for you to sometimes get your leg closer to this part, you know? And sometimes, depending on the length of your leg, you just end up being more open. So yeah, that's the thing with Scramblers and with high pipes. You have to reinforce this part so it doesn't burn your legs, you don't feel too much heat. This is a decal of sorts, but it's not a cheap decal. In fact, if I try to make it kot-kot, I can't. I mean, I'm trying. So I'm not sure, I can't see, but maybe there's a top coat over this or something. I don't know. Nice touch having the words of Triumph on the gas cap. Nice cool touch over here. I like this part. The grips are also nice. In terms of the quality of this part, it's alright. This, some people at a glance may feel that, hey, is that cheap material? But if you come closer, you take a closer look, you'll see that it is not cheap material. Let's take this out so we can appreciate it. Because it feels good to peel things, right? Ooh, this is so satisfying. Look, pretty straight up. This is what's gonna get you through the gauge. This is mode for your modes. So we're in road right now. You press that, you are now in off-road. Press it again, you are on rain. Let's press I right now and see what we get. Okay, so you got your trip 2, fuel consumption. That is the distance you have left before you need to gas up. Got your time, your RPM, TTC is on. Let's listen to the horn. Meep. It's alright. I think a meep sound with a Scrambler is okay. Yeah, I'm not demanding any other sound. It just, for me, it fits. Let's fire it up. So again, since this is a Triumph, you can't just turn it on its own. It's not about having the side stand up or if you're in gear or not. You gotta press the clutch and then you can turn it on. It's their thing. And this is what it sounds like. In terms of the light, No LED, no LED signal. That's pretty much it. I can live with this headlight. I have no problem with this. This one's got to go. I'm gonna change that. The little details, close-ups. This is pretty regular. I mean, compared to what we have with the Thruxton, wherein the small details are just, you know, it's pretty impressive. I'm sorry for using the Thruxton as a comparison, but it's just that, you know, it's my favorite Triumph bike of all time. Welds here are pretty consistent and good, nice and even. Good job. Levers are nice, beefy levers. I kind of have mixed feelings for the mirrors. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to change it or not. I mean, it looks classy, fits the bike, round, long stem. It's not flimsy or it looks like it's going to break off like with other mirrors, because this is pretty thick. This feels beefy, right? But I'm just not sure. Maybe I'll keep it. Look at the back, got some metal over there. Nice and sturdy too when you adjust it. It doesn't have those cheap screws where you can have some loose threading issues. So let's take a look under the seat. Everything's in order, harness is in place. There's nothing messy looking around here. Electric tape is done well. Yep, so that's what it looks like under there. What's also cool about Triumph is that they have Metzler tires right off the shelf. And if you guys know me, I appreciate and respect Metzler a lot. Very good tires, very good brand. Of course, they're calling it a Scrambler, and they also added the word street Scrambler without them actually adding the word street to Scrambler. Just by looking at it, one can tell that this is really going to be geared more for the urban environment. I'd do some light off-roading with this. I mean, yeah, it looks like, you know, Scrambler off-road. Yeah, you got your dual sport tires, spoke wheels, like looking at the forks and the shocks, you know. The only thing is, the reason why I wouldn't do hardcore off-road with this is because of the clearance that you have here, right? We'll do our Chinelas check. There. You got that much clearance. More for light off-roading and more for the urban environment. And I guess the guys over Triumph realized this too and said, okay, to be clear, let's call this a street Scrambler.
Riding consumption, riding in easy chill mode, goes at around 35 kpl, which is impressive. So your 12 liters and a full tank of gas can go a long way. Handling and riding the street is a joy. It's one of my favorite traits of the bike. The purpose of the Street Scrambler is not to win MotoGP. This bike is here for you to enjoy the ride and look cool while you're at it. From before, we had 18 inches for the wheels out front. Now we have 19s, and I'd say in terms of performance at least, the difference is negligible, and perhaps aesthetics will be the more immediate effect. Because of its configuration, twisties will not be its favorite course, but if you are chill and you're just cruising roads, then you will appreciate its handling more. 213 kilos means this bike is relatively not light in its class, but because of its handlebars, weight distribution, and low seat, the bike feels lighter than what its numbers show. Some points of improvement: the suspension is a bit soft, and I'd change that, and I'd say there's room for an upgrade here. With regards to the engine, we are going to have some who will be yearning for more power. But you know what? Perhaps it's your perspective that should change. Look at it as a bike where you can gently cover kilometers as opposed to it being a raging speed maniac. So in chill mode, maybe at around 120 kph, you can cover a lot of distance and not feel stressed out, considering you will be upright with the wind blowing against you. Also, we got many choices out there for add-ons, including luggage options. So don't fret or worry about going out there for an adventure for an extended period of time. The other pluses we have here, of course, this is ride-by-wire. It's got ABS that you can also turn off should you find some rough you want to take on. It's got traction control. So yeah, retro, but with modern practical features. We got ride modes here. We have rain and road, but you know, I wouldn't really fuss or worry about it, and I just stick the most powerful one because, you know, it's a chill motor. There is many to like about this bike, especially at variants all under 1 million, with a low base of 795,000 and a high of 835,000. Remember, this is a Triumph we're talking about, a motorcycle brand with loads of culture and heritage. While yes, power is something a lot of other riders will look for and appreciate in other bikes, but you know what? With this motor, you will learn and realize that if you are on a Triumph, speed isn't everything. Riding well is. This is Zach from Machina Moto Features. Ciao.